Weber, Baermann, and the Clarinet. Clarinet Concerto No. 2 in E-flat major, Movement 3 alla polacca, Carl Maria von Weber. Carl Maria von Weber, whose most common works were operas, composed his second clarinet concerto for Heinrich Baermann as a commission from King Maximilian I of Bavaria. Weber had a close friendship with clarinetist Heinrich Baermann, who was also a bandsman in the Prussian army. Baermann was quickly becoming one of the most influential clarinetists of his time, in an era of significant mechanical improvements to his instrument. Additional keys in the clarinet increased ease of play and range. Weber's friendship with Baermann led to his fascination with the clarinet. His second clarinet concerto is one of his most renowned works. It is said that his concertos for Baermann represent some of the most significant works ever written for the clarinet. Weber's Clarinet Concerto No. 2 in E-flat major was commissioned and composed in 1811 after Baermann performed Weber's clarinet concertinos in Munich to great acclaim. In Weber's words, "Since I composed the concertino for Baermann, the whole orchestra has gone mad and wants concertos from me." The success of that performance in April led King Maximilian I of Bavaria to commission Weber to compose 2 clarinet concertos for Baermann, paying Weber a significant price. This represented a turning point in Weber's career. He previously had been struggling financially, and this commission was a great creative breakthrough, as well as a financial success. Weber went to work composing the concertos, eventually for Baermann to perform. Weber referred in his diary to the welcome homogeneity of tone from top to bottom, and gave great credit to Baermann for the success of his clarinet works. Weber's second clarinet concerto was composed immediately following the first in 1811. It contains 3 movements, 1 allegro, 2 andante con moto, and 3 alla polacca. The third movement, the polacca, was premiered on June 29th, and then the concerto was premiered in its entirety on November 25th in Munich. Weber was overjoyed with Baermann's performance, later writing he played it heavenly. Baermann, not only the performer of Weber's music, also had a significant role in the preservation of his work. He encouraged Weber, who was known for being irresponsible with his scores, to carefully write out each clarinet piece. Baermann kept these scores in his personal library, preserving Weber's music for future generations. The third movement of Weber's Clarinet Concerto No. 2 in E-flat major, subtitled alla polacca, is in the key of E-flat major for nearly the entirety of the piece. Its time signature is 3/4 in a quick polacca tempo, and is in rondo form, a musical style that has one major recurring theme that often reoccurs after each new musical idea. A polacca refers to a Polish dance in triple time, also known as a polonaise. They are known for containing numerous runs, frequent syncopation, and challenging ornamentation, of which this concerto is a good example. Polaccas are commonly the final movement of a work, like this piece, and they commonly occur in a rondo format. These things make this piece a strong example of the rondo and polacca style. The overall structure of the piece is as follows: A, B, A, C, D, E, A, F. In more detail, the structure follows the pattern in the chart. The main theme, which is repeated throughout the piece, is characterized by a quick tempo, lots of syncopation, accidentals, mostly scalar motion, in both 16th and dotted 16th note rhythms. This theme is repeated almost identically 3 times during the piece, and 4th time in a modulated key. Also note that because the clarinet is a transposing instrument, that the excerpt is in the key of F, not E-flat. The other melodies in the concerto that occur in between the main rondo theme use similar rhythmic motifs from the rondo section. For example, the main theme features a displaced syncopated rhythm where each note of the first measure is placed on the offbeat. This same rhythm is used regularly throughout the piece. Here is an example of the main melody appearing outside of the usual A section. These rhythmic motifs don't only appear in the clarinet, they also are featured in the orchestral parts. Here is an example of when the melody with its rhythmic motifs is repeated, but this time in the orchestra rather than in the clarinet. When the theme is repeated in the clarinet part, the harmonies in the accompaniment are usually the same. There are a few variations, but the core of the harmony is from 1 to 5. Here is the harmony during the first occurrence of the main melody. The second appearance of the main melody, this time outside of the usual A section, has the same chordal structure, 1-5-1. This time, however, the phrase resolves with the perfect authentic cadence. Both the 5-7 and 1 chords are in root position, and the solo clarinet part ends on a concert E flat, rather than the half cadence that appeared in the previous excerpt. Additionally, 4 measures before letter D, the main melody makes a brief appearance, but with different pitches. The intervallic and rhythmic relationships are similar, but the starting pitch is different. Even considering this musical moment is instantly recognizable as a reoccurrence of the rondo theme. This is a good example of the main theme recurring throughout the piece, even when it doesn't appear exactly the same Weber uses this motif both rhythmically and melodically to unify the piece and give it a distinct character. During this section, a 5-6-4 chord is being played, which is a familiar chord in the piece. However, it is different than the opening chord of the original section and in an inversion, which distinguishes this small segment even further. There are a few moments when the orchestra responds to the clarinet soloist and the main melody switches from the clarinet to the orchestra. This occurs at letter G. The excerpts make it apparent that the orchestra is playing the same rhythm of a dotted quarter followed by 3/8 notes, etc., as well as at the same intervals that the clarinet plays. The clarinet plays an accompanying part, while the orchestra takes the melody. The entire piece only features two prominent key changes. One occurs at letter E. It switches from the piece's main key of E flat major to the relative minor of C. The key signature does not change, but we see C minor chords as the new tonic featured in the orchestral part. This is the only minor moment in the piece. The concert B natural leading tone in the clarinet part, the C sharp on the B flat clarinet, is also a strong indication of the minor key change. The second key change is at letter I. It also plays a unique role. The main melody returns with variation, a half-step modulation to the key of E major, slightly alter rhythms, etc. While the main melody appears a half-step higher, the orchestra plays a B7 chord in the accompaniment. This is interesting because while the melody only occurs half a step higher than the theme usually occurs, the accompanying chords appear a whole fifth above the original place. While the original melody featured a 1 chord in the accompaniment, at this point the accompaniment is playing the 5 chord in the new key of E that the melody has momentarily transitioned to before resolving back to the 1 chord. This gives an interesting effect that heightens the uniqueness of this passage. It acts as a bridge between the different section that just came before and the return to the main theme. The climax of the piece occurs at the end. The newly introduced melody features the most virtuosic writing of the entire piece and the loudest dynamic. The excerpt below features the main melody of the coda, which is repeated twice before the movement's conclusion. The clarinet plays fast 16th note triplet passages, 3 groups ascending and 3 groups descending, which is then repeated. As is very clear, this is a very virtuosic piece of music written by Weber for his incredibly talented friend. One can get a sense of Baermann's technical abilities by realizing this piece was composed especially for him. As we see from the analysis, Weber has put together a very cleverly crafted polka in rondo form. Through using rhythms and melodic motifs, Weber is able to give the third movement of his second clarinet concerto a strong identity with powerful continuity, while also being an impressive technical challenge for clarinetists.